Good morning, everybody. I hope everyone is doing well. Welcome to the Understanding and Solving Errors webinar. My name is Olivia. I'm the Client Success Manager here at Listing Mirror. And we also have Erin, our COO of Listing Mirror, on the call too. As you can see, there's a few slides that are going through, a couple did you know facts in there. We also have a handout. I just added it. I'm sorry if you guys were looking for it and couldn't find it. You should see it now. So go ahead and download that handout. Other things to note, there is a question section. So if you guys have any questions as we're going through this, please add them in there. We want to make sure that this is as interactive as possible and you guys get the most out of this webinar as you can. So make sure you're using that. The handouts there. I think that is everything to introduce. And I'm going to hand it over to Erin to go through our agenda, and then she will get started.
Thanks so much, Olivia. Hello, everyone. We're so happy to have you here today. Thanks so much for attending our webinar. Like Olivia said, we do hope that this is super helpful. So we'd love to have your interaction. Any questions that come up about errors, about specific errors, or how to handle errors in general, please let us know so that we can interact with you. We know that the most helpful thing that we can do is inspire interaction between our clients so that you guys can kind of learn from each other. And we also learn a lot from you as well in terms of how you use the software and what is most helpful for you. So please make sure that you're asking questions as you think of them, and then we'll answer them at the end. As Olivia and I were preparing for this webinar, what we came to the conclusion of is that the most helpful thing that we could do for you in a short time span is to give you some kind of tips and tricks for how to handle errors in general, what they mean, how to approach them, where to find them, and then some best practices for preventing errors, things like that. So when we're going through the webinar today, we're not necessarily going to go over specific errors and how to solve specific errors, but we're really hoping that we can give you a framework for how to approach them so that when you're using the software that you know and can have confidence in where to find them and exactly what to do. So we're going to go through defining an error, solving and finding errors inside of your Listing Mirror account, best practices for troubleshooting, and then we're going to look at how to prevent errors. Olivia is going to tackle that topic, and we're going to talk about using the product catalog in order to do that. And then at the end, that's when we're going to leave lots of Q&A time, so anything that you think of during that time. And then we'll just go through some different announcements and make sure that you guys are all set up for anything that's coming up with Listing Mirror in the next few weeks. So let's start off with what is an error. So an error is typically an issue with listing data that prevents a listing from syncing properly with the marketplace. So there are, a few occasions where you might see an error that is maybe related to something internal, like if you use a wrong character or something like that. But by and large, anything that you're seeing inside of Listing Mirror is just something that is preventing your listing from syncing properly with the marketplace. As I mentioned in those did you know facts at the very beginning, all of the errors that you see in your channel, or maybe I should say like 97% of the errors that you see are going to be direct messages from the marketplace. They're not coming from Listing Mirror. So what we're doing for you is we're displaying them to you in the best way that we can, and we'll go through where to see them. But Listing Mirror doesn't write those errors, and we're not the one who decides what they are or how you should solve them. So we are always doing our best to internally understand what different errors mean, but they're coming from the marketplace. So there's two different ways or two different places in which errors can occur. If the error occurs upon listing creation, this is considered an incomplete listing, and it will need to be revised in order to be published on the marketplace. So if you've been with Listing Mirror for a really long time, I do see a few people here who've been with us for a long time, you might remember a time when we just posted everything as an error, and we didn't differentiate between what errors were like on a published listing and it pulled the listing down, and what errors were just because the data wasn't there to even complete the listing and push it to the marketplace in the first place. So we switched that up, and now we talk about incomplete errors, and we talk about another kind of error that we just call error. So the purpose of an incomplete error is for you to know, okay, my listing doesn't have what's needed in order for it to go live on the marketplace in the first place. So there's data missing, and I need to go into my listing and I need to figure out what that data is, and we'll talk about that in a little bit, in order to get the listing to go live on the marketplace in the first place. Lastly, if an error occurs after being published, either a recent update to the listing has disagreed with the marketplace, or the marketplace has changed the requirements for that listing. So Olivia will go into this a little bit later as far as like where to create or where to update your listings and the product catalog and things like that. And those things might be things that would disagree with the marketplace. Say you add a character in the description that the marketplace doesn't allow, or things like that. That might cause an error. Or if the marketplace has changed the requirements for some of your listings, then you may end up with category specific errors, are usually most common in this case. So something like eBay, they can change their stipulations for what is required for a specific category. And so your listing could have once been in sync and once been doing fine. And all of a sudden you look at your account and you have, 100 listings that are no longer in sync and have errors. So that's the other way in which an error can occur. So Listing Mirror is kind of always in a continually syncing process in some form or another. Either we're doing inventory syncs or we're doing listing data syncs at least once a day. So we're always looking for, is this listing still good? Is the listing still connected to the marketplace and still in sync? Does everything look good? So you can always be coming back to your Listing Mirror account, and it's really important that you do, to be able to see what is the status of your listings. How are they looking? So you might be wondering, where can I view the listings or view the errors on my listings? So the screenshot I'm showing you here, I just have a bunch of incomplete listings. And the place that you'll initially see it is on your Manage Listings page inside of Listing Mirror. And under the column for each marketplace, you will see either an incomplete message, an error, or perhaps a warning. This is where you're going to go to see like a very quick message about why the listing didn't go live or why it has an error. If you hover over this incomplete message or over the error message, we'll give you a real short snippet of what the error is. What you can do though is you can click on the number or the cog right next to it, and that will pull you into the listing itself. And then you can see what the error is at a more detailed level. So this is where we try to do our best to show you all of the whole error that may have come from the marketplace to help you solve it. So I mentioned before, the marketplace is the one who's sending the errors. So they don't always make sense to us either. So we're always kind of working to know what's going on in the different marketplaces and what the expectations are, but you can always go in and do your best to problem solve and try to figure out what's going on. This is where you would see the full error message right under the image, right under all of the information at the top of your listing. That's where you would see the error. That's one place that you would see the error. And also, just don't forget about our advanced search option. So for instance, if you're wanting to go in, like I mentioned before, it's a really good idea to go into your account and make sure that your listings look good at any given time. So what you can do is you can go in, you can add a listing status, add the term, and click search, and then you'll see any listings on your account that are either incomplete or have errors. So just don't forget to use your advanced search options inside of your Listing Mirror account. Let's talk about some best practices for troubleshooting and resolving the errors that you see in your account. If you see a lot of errors for one channel, it may be better to use a spreadsheet to work on them instead of working in the interface. A more common reason why you might see this is if you're a newer client and you've created a bunch of listings on one marketplace and none of them are live. It may be easier for you to download a spreadsheet and update your data kind of more in bulk, because it'll give you, just a different way of seeing the data, and you can kind of shape it a little bit easier. We did a webinar a couple weeks ago specifically about using spreadsheets, and we're happy to share that with you guys. We'd love to make sure that you have that resource available to you. So if that is something that you're interested in, please let us know so that we can share that with you. For errors that you don't understand, here are the steps that you'll go through to get to that understanding that you need to resolve those errors. The first thing that you want to do is to check our knowledge base, which is at support.listingmirror.com. It's the same place that you're probably going right now to talk to our support team. And also you can see, or you can go to the support portal through the right hand at the bottom of your account. You're going to see a little message. I think it says quick help or something like that. It's a little blue button that will also get you to support.listingmirror.com. What you can do there is just put in, copy and paste a small snippet of the error and search for it. It's very possible that we've written a listing, or I'm sorry, that we've written a knowledge base article about it, and that in that knowledge base article, we will have clarified how to resolve the error. So that's the first thing that you can do. The next thing that you can try, whether you do find a knowledge base article or not, is look for any required fields that are missing on the listing. So common missing data, this is if you're not really understanding the error that you're seeing. Some common missing data are variation fields. So making sure that the variation name and the variation values are filled out on your listing, and then that you have images on the listing, and that you have your category specific fields filled out. So your category specific fields are going to be in your category tab on your listing. And if you scroll down a bit just below the category, you'll see the category specific fields. So those are some of the things that are most common in the errors that we see, is just not having all of the data that you need, or that the data is not agreeing with the marketplace. And lastly, another thing that we have to do internally quite often is just Google the error to see if other sellers have encountered this and can help you resolve it. Again, because the errors are coming from the marketplace, anyone who is using an API provider like Listing Mirror would have encountered this as well, whether they're using Listing Mirror, another tool like Listing Mirror, or maybe they've built their own API integration. They're going to be dealing with the same set of errors as you are, and it's very possible that someone else would have solved the error and have a really good really good explanation for how to resolve it. So hopefully those things are helpful to you in understanding how to approach errors and how to work on resolving them on your own. Let's now turn it over to Olivia, and she's going to talk to us about how to prevent errors.
Awesome. Give me a second here. I'm going to share my screen. Okay, so everybody should be able to see my screen. I just have our demo account up here, so we can kind of talk about preventing the errors altogether. So that's the biggest question that I get when I'm working with a client and we're going through the incomplete messages that they have. Their biggest question is, how can I prevent this from happening in the future? So the biggest thing is just making sure that the data in your catalog is good for all marketplaces. So if you guys aren't familiar, we do have a webinar that we did previously called Back to the Basics that I can send to anybody that's interested in looking at that. But it will do a deep dive into product catalogs. So if you guys have been with us for a while, it's probably something that's new to you. But we're going to be focusing on our product catalog. So what your catalog is your anything that we've imported when you first started Listing Mirror. That is what creates your Listing Mirror catalog. So it has all of your data from all your different listings or products in one place, and that's the data that Listing Mirror is using to create your listings on the different marketplaces. So where you guys will find that is on your Manage Listings page. You have your little image for reference and your title and SKU. If you click on this SKU, it will take you right to your product catalog for this specific product. So in this case, I did click on a specific variant. So when that pulls up, it's going to show me that variant here. On the left-hand side, you'll see any other variants that you have in this product. And then first, you're going to be looking at your variant information. So a couple things to check per variation is going to be the title and also your values. So in this case, for my variation names, I have size and color. So that's what the difference is between all of my different variants. And one thing that you want to make sure that you have is that if you have size and color or whatever your variation names are, that you have values for every single variant. So first I'm going to check, yes, I have a size, yes, I have a color, and they match that SKU. Other things to check in here, You can kind of go through the descriptions, the bullet points, the identifier, depending on what channel you're pushing to. UPC is very important. So especially for ones that require it, like Walmart, but a lot of people are also adding that for eBay and some of the other channels too. So make sure that you have that UPC filled out. Check over your images, make sure those all look correct. At the top, you'll see your variation images, and then your parent images will show here as well. And then you can check your price. But our biggest things here that we want to check per variation is that you have a UPC filled out and that your values are in here and they correspond to that specific SKU. So you can go through and check each of those variants. This one, it'll look the same, but of course we're looking at a different SKU, so we want to make sure that color matches and everything like that. Going back to the product, this is in your catalog. It's considered the product. If you're pushing it out to your marketplaces, these fields would push to your parent listing fields. So in here, things to check for: that you have a title filled out and that it is a generic title. So depending on what channel we import it from, sometimes these titles will be specific to one variation. So you want to make sure that your parent title, your product title, is more general for all of your variations. So then other things to check: your brand, check your description, bullet points, images. These are just going to show your parent images. And then you can also see all of your variations here at the bottom too. So again, you can check the size and color here instead of going into each variation. So depending on what works best for you guys, this is going to be where you're checking all of your data. So it might sound like this is a lot of work to do before even pushing a listing over, but I promise you, if you guys go through this data, make sure that everything looks the way that you want it to, it has all the information that you need, you guys are going to save yourself a lot of time when pushing out to the channels. The other nice thing about using your product catalog to create is the actual creating over to the channels. So on the right-hand side, you'll have your market listings. If it's not on a channel yet, you have that option to create it just from here. So if I click this plus sign, the cool thing about our product catalog is it will go through any required fields before you even push it to the channel. So I'm sure that a lot of you guys have run across listings that you don't have a category selected or a brand is required and not filled out. This will eliminate those errors because it will have you check all of that data before pushing it out. So in this case, I have to select the rest of the category. So I'm just going to do socks. The next thing it will do is have you do variation name mapping. So in our product catalog, we have specific variation names that we use that will work for all channels. However, when you go to the channels, not all of them have the same variation names. So what this is going to do is it'll tell you what your variation name is in product catalog, and you can map that to a variation name that the channel has available. With eBay, they do have the option for size and color, so I'm going to select those. And then it will go through any required category specifics. So for this specific category, these are all of the required fields that eBay has. So if you guys have run across one of those incomplete messages that the type is required or size type is required, this will eliminate that error because you'll fill it out before even pushing it over. So you can go through here, make sure the brand, style, department, everything is filled out, and then you can create that listing. Then once you create it, you won't have any problems with it unless there's some very specific eBay error that would come up. But this will eliminate the majority of any sort of incomplete messages you guys would run into. So like I said before, it does sound like it's going to be a lot more work, but I guarantee you it's going to save you guys a lot of time. The other nice thing is you just have to go through it one time. So this product catalog is what is syncing out to all of your channels. So if you change all of this, push it out to eBay, and then the day later you guys want to push it to Walmart, you'll be able to do that knowing that this data is all correct and you don't have to go through and check everything again. So a question that I'm going to answer that we got yesterday, just so I have a visual here, is if you make a change in product catalog, will that sync out to your channels? And that all depends on if the market is in sync. So you'll see here under all of these fields, there's a little green checkbox, or on your side, you might see a yellow checkbox. But if we click on this, it'll tell you what channels it is syncing to. So this specific field is in sync with Walmart. What that means is if I change the title in product catalog, if I come in here and I want to change this title, when I save that, it's going to sync to Walmart. If it was on eBay, then it would be in sync. This one, I don't have the listing created on eBay, so it is obviously excluded from eBay. But that is going to be what you're looking at. If you don't have a field in sync, so let's say this one is not on Walmart, it would show you that. So let me just go ahead and do that really quick. So going into our Walmart listing, this is a specific Walmart listing. If I wanted to come in here and remove this title, let's say for Walmart, I want something very specific. I can remove this. Looks like I already have one saved here. So let's say we just have a Walmart listing that we want this specific title for. This may not work because I have too many incompletes for the listing. Might not have worked for us. Unfortunately, sorry, I can't show that because I have too many required fields that I don't have filled out for the demo account. But just so you guys know, if it's not in sync, it'll show a yellow square, an orange square here that will tell you that it's not in sync. So I'm sure if you guys haven't used product catalog much, you'll see a lot of those. But our Back to the Basics webinar will cover that more than we will in this webinar. So I think that is all that I have for you guys as far as how to prevent the errors altogether, or the incomplete messages altogether. So I will hand it back to Erin and we will start doing our Q&A.
Awesome. So actually, one of the questions that I see right now, I think would be most helpful if we can show them on your screen, Olivia. So we had someone ask, can I have a catalog of all of my products? So I wondered if you could kind of just show what we consider right now to be the catalog of your products, and then maybe also what bulk template they would download to see all of their listings together as well. So this page that Olivia is showing right here is what we consider to be your product catalog. So we are working really hard. It should be actually ready, I don't know, in the next month or 6 weeks on a new version of this managed listings page. And then somewhere down the road as well, we're going to have a page that is specific to just the products and doesn't have necessarily all of the data that belongs to the listings. But what I wanted to show you here is that on your left side, this is kind of what your product catalog is. So you're seeing the title that we're using in product catalog, you're seeing a thumbnail image to kind of tell you what it is, and then you're also seeing the LM SKU, which shows you what we are using to identify the product. So this is essentially what your product catalog is. This is where you see it. And then if we want to just look at your spreadsheets.
Yep, so if you want to look at the
there's also one.
spreadsheets. Oh, sorry, Erin, go ahead.
No, that's okay. I think there's
Yeah.
one that's for products, but
Yes.
you can take it from here.
Yeah, so under your listing dropdown, you'll go to your bulk edit templates. And the spreadsheet that you guys are going to use, if you're just wanting to look at them or edit them, I would recommend using the product edit template. That will show you every single product that you have, regardless of what channel it's on. So you can download that. It'll have all of them. You can do edits in here too. So if you guys want to just go through all of your products in one swoop and edit all of them, this is the template that you'll want to use. So go ahead and download that, fill out all the information, and then upload it right on the same page.
Yep. All right, cool. So hopefully that was helpful. I see someone asked if the screen is frozen for everyone. I can see it, but we hope that you guys can also see it. If not, we are going to send the recording, and I'm hopeful that in the recording it won't be frozen. So hopefully you guys are still getting this. We have a couple questions about actually getting the webinars. So absolutely, we will make sure to send both of our webinars that we've already done. We'll send out a link to those in our follow-up, just so that you have those on hand. And Olivia, I will switch over to my slide deck again so that I can continue showing this. So we'll make sure that we just send out, to anyone who attended today, the other webinars, because a lot of the content does go together, which is so good. We assume that if you're here, this kind of content is really helpful for you. This format is helpful. So we'll be sure to send those out. Okay, so let's just see. We have the question about the catalog of all our products. We've tackled that one.
It
Back
looks
to
like
basics webinar.
Yeah, it looks like we have a question asking, can we dive into some of the most common errors? For me, it's Walmart, and explain how to solve those. So in the handout that we shared, that will have a lot of articles for common errors on and how to solve them. Walmart is a beast for everybody, so you're not alone on that. But that should help out a lot. And if you guys have specific errors that you're not sure of, like Erin mentioned before, look in the knowledge base. If you're not finding any luck there, or you guys are frustrated with things, reach out to our support team. They're super helpful. They're very knowledgeable about Walmart specifically and all the errors that you guys can come across. So make sure you reach out to them with any of those errors that you're struggling with, and they'll be able to help with that.
Mm-hmm. The other thing I'll mention, just because you brought specifically Walmart up as the one that you're struggling with the most, like Olivia said, it really is just a beast. It's a harder marketplace. The way that we like to think about it, and we want you to think about it too, is that if you can conquer Walmart, you are eons ahead of so many other sellers who give up on it because they don't invest the time and the energy into figuring it out. So keep pushing through, keep working on your errors, keep working with our team on your errors. You really do have a really good support system behind you. We really are very eager to help you get your listings live, and we really do want to help you figure out those listings and make sure that all of your listings, all your data looks good and that it's working with the marketplace. So with Walmart specifically, a couple things that come to mind are that Walmart is really finicky. Sometimes they display errors that if you just sync the listing again, which in terms that make more sense to you, really it's just saving, like just going into the listing and clicking save, that will resync the listing. If you do that maybe once a day or something like that, sometimes it triggers like a harder sync. It's very hard for us to troubleshoot all the time because Walmart can be really inconsistent with the feedback that we get from their servers. And so we, will always do our best to help you solve the errors. But if they don't make sense to you at all and there's just not really any explanation for them, we do oftentimes just resync the listings ourselves. So if that is something that's an option for you, you can give that a try, maybe 1 or 2 days. Another thing that happens fairly often is that you will have errors that are like you'll have a long error message, and even though you fixed part of it, it'll still be showing the error. Just know that that is just fairly common for Walmart. If you know you've fixed the problem that they said you had and there's more errors underneath, just focus on the errors that are underneath and don't worry about the one that continues showing. Hopefully what will happen is if you get all of them fixed, then the whole thing will clear. So just keep trying, just keep putting the effort there so that your listings can go live. And I don't know if Olivia has any other tips, but that's something that that I always go to.
Yeah, I think you covered it. That's what I would say too.
Okay, cool. So let's see, we have, okay, so we have a couple questions about specific errors. I'm almost positive both those errors that you mentioned, offer end date has passed, and at least one shipping service must be specified. Those are both in our knowledge base. So again, check those out. That will be most helpful. That's where we're going to keep our data most up to date for you. So definitely check those out in our knowledge base. And if for some reason that isn't helping and you're not able to resolve it through that way, then please do reach out to our team. All right, I'm not seeing any other questions for right now. So if you do think of anything else, throw it in here. I think we might still have a couple minutes right at the end. So we're happy to continue covering them. Oh, I just saw another question come in from Stephanie. Let's see here. When creating listings to a channel, for example, Walmart, how many listings can we create in one day as a limit? So we can avoid delays caused by too much info passing to Walmart. I used to create about 15 listings in a day, but sometimes this gives me trouble. This is a good question. For Walmart specifically, I don't believe that there is a specific limit. If there is one, it's going to be very high. Olivia, are you aware of any limits for Walmart?
Yeah, so there aren't any limits as far as how many you can create. Probably what you're running into is just the amount of time it takes to sync to Walmart. So when you're creating new listings, it can take up to 24 hours for those to sync. So it doesn't really matter how many you list in a day, but give it 24 hours for those, all of them to kind of go through. You'll see that some are created sooner than other ones, but they'll all make it through just fine. You won't run into an error where it just won't create at all. It just takes a little bit more time, but you shouldn't have any problem creating more than 15.
Yeah, and I think maybe what is happening here is there might be, maybe there was a day when you created more and there was just, things were just slower on Walmart's end. And maybe you connected that to being that you created a lot of listings that day. But there isn't, as far as we know, there's no connection between creating more listings at one time. Because understand, there are thousands and thousands, I don't know, probably tens of thousands of accounts that are connected to Walmart through API. So one individual is not going to, one individual business is not going to affect the volume that much. It's probably just other stuff that's going on. And like Olivia said, you will see them eventually go through. It's fairly typical for a listing to take 24 to 48 hours for you to see it go live the first time. So you might just see it stay in pending for longer, but that isn't going to be due to the number of listings that you're trying to create at one time. Let's answer one more question here, just because I think it's a really good one. So the question is, can I get any message from Listing Mirror if my listing is not syncing well with Walmart? So I think what you're talking about here probably is maybe that you are seeing maybe some sort of notification, maybe an email, some sort of dashboard, something like that. So just so you guys know, that is something that's in the works for us. We're really hoping to be able to roll that out to you in the near future. We would love to be able to give you more stats on your account, and that's something that we are tracking, but it's just not something that has made it to the top of our development queue. So hopefully in the near future, we will be able to start offering more of a dashboard or more email notifications. So be looking for that in the coming months, and hopefully you'll see it soon. All right, so let's move on to just talking about, sorry, my slideshow is going crazy here. Okay, so let's move on to talking about just some of the other resources that we have and making sure that you know how to get in touch with us and what kind of things we offer to you as a client. So this is Olivia, who's been on the call with me today, and she is our client success manager, as she mentioned, and she is here to make sure that the experience that you're having at Listing Mirror is one that really makes sense for your business and is something that you really are enjoying and getting a lot of value from. So she wants to, help you in any way that makes sense for that. So some of the things that we do offer as standard is account audits, wellness checks on your account, and also topical training. You can reach out to her at any time, olivia@listingmirror.com, and get any information about how we can better serve you. She'd be happy to walk through anything or get you the resources that you need. She knows a lot. She's been with Listing Mirror as long as I have from the very inception of it. So we'd be happy to help you out in that manner. Also, just wanted to tell you how to get in touch with our support team. The names of the people I see in here today, I know most of you, and I think that you already know this, but just in case you aren't sure or you have lost track of us, we are here to give you the support that you need through talking to real, actual humans to get your specific issues resolved. So anytime that you need help with anything on your account, do visit our support.listingmirror.com portal. And in there, you'll see the knowledge base, which we talked about. You'll see a specific link for a training center. So if maybe you have someone new on your staff that you need to go or send them through a little bit of training, we also have several FAQs. And then there's also a way to get in touch with our team by submitting a request. So make sure that you're using that to your advantage. You can do that both by going to the website, and also there is a little button like I mentioned in the bottom right of your screen that will either tell you that you have a message waiting for you, or it'll just say like quick help, I think is what it says right now. So we just recently changed it, so I'm not positive, but I think quick help is what it says. All right, just also wanted to let you know that we do have a really exciting upcoming webinar. So in a couple weeks on June 9th, we get to co-host a webinar with Amazon. We're going to be specifically talking about some really exciting MCF updates. The updates are actually coming next week, and it is a change to the MCF shipping options that they have so that they can begin to send MCF packages through UPS and FedEx and other providers like that, so that they're not ending up with the tracking by Amazon numbers, so that you can use MCF to fill orders for Walmart and for any other channels where right now that's not possible. So we're really excited about that. Our team, or their team, is really excited about it, obviously too, just to launch this new program. So we're going to be able to go through kind of the fee structure for that and talk with their team. You'll be able to ask questions about maybe some different impacts to your business. So we'll make sure to send out a registration link for that in a follow-up email. So do keep an eye out for that. And I think that is it. Olivia, are you seeing anything else or anything else that you want to tackle before we close up for today?
No, I think that is it. I don't see any other questions. If you guys haven't grabbed the handout before we end the webinar, go ahead and download that. And then we'll send you guys a follow-up email tomorrow with the recording from this webinar, and then we'll send out another one that has the recordings from all our previous webinars that you guys requested too. So keep a lookout for that. And if there's anything else that you guys need, we're here to help. You guys can reach out to me directly, olivia@listingmirror.com, and I'd be happy to help you. I know right before this, I got a couple emails from people that are on this webinar. So I always like working with you guys closely and talking with you. So make sure you reach out with any questions that you have. But that is all that we have for you guys. Hope you have a great rest of your day, and thank you guys for joining us.
Yes, thanks so much. Have a good one.